Las Vegas, July 2025. High winds caused damage across the Las Vegas Valley on Tuesday, from more than 60 downed power lines to trees falling on cars. Arborist Joe Noriega of Mr. Tree was on hand Wednesday to assess and clean up the damage. The winds caused some trees to fall because they were weakened by fungal infections or rot, which is common in species like the California pepper. These fungal infections obviously create weak spots, as we see with what's happening with this tree, Noriega said as he examined a tree. Day-to-day weather can also cause trees to become weaker. When water and debris build up in these areas, there's a little bit of rot there. Again, that weakens that connection, and if the wind blows the other way, it can twist, Noriega said as he examined a broken mesquite tree. Noriega and his crew used chainsaws and ladders to remove broken branches and limbs. It takes longer for trees to be completely uprooted. Noriega said several factors contribute to tree uprooting, including a combination of sandy soil, inadequate root systems, and trees with damaged roots. On Tuesday, the Las Vegas Valley was hit by wind gusts of up to 70 miles per hour that knocked down nearly 60 power poles, stranding people in their cars along roads. As of 5 p.m. Wednesday, more than 1,200 customers were still without power across the valley. At the peak of the storm, more than 33,000 NV Energy customers were without power. The storm, which moved through the valley from south to north, has produced heavy rain, lightning, and wind, but no warnings have been issued as of 3 p.m., according to the Chief Meteorologist. Scattered showers and thunderstorms are expected to persist through Wednesday night. Clark County also opened cooling stations where people without power can go to relieve the heat. Pets are welcome if they are in proper containers. Crews continued to work around the clock to restore power and replace power poles that snapped in Wednesday's high winds.
Power poles down right here on Trop.
Shannon Gregory, Nevada Energy's Director of Operations for Southern Nevada, said today that about a mile of poles on East Tropicana Avenue between Topaz Street and Sandhill Road were down by the windstorm. The storm began when wind gusts of about 70 miles per hour knocked down a tree in Tropicana at McLeod Drive. The fallen tree hit power lines, creating enough tension to knock over more than 30 poles like dominoes. Wooden poles are meant to support loads up and down, forward, backward. They're not meant to support side loads, he said. So when you have heavy side loads, the poles tend to tilt, and eventually they'll fall. This was one of the hardest hit areas, accounting for nearly half of the roughly 70 power poles that were downed across the valley Wednesday. As of about 2 p.m. today, about 500 customers in the Tropicana area were still without power, Gregory said. Across the valley, 1,235 customers were still waiting for power to be restored, from a peak of about 30,000 at 5 p.m., according to the latest update from NV Energy. This is a city with a lot of power lines, and we can't replace them all at once. We have a program to rebuild circuits. I think we try to build 4 or 5, 6 circuits a year as best we can. But it takes time, he said. It's a lot of power lines. Gregory said NV Energy is prepared to respond to downed power lines at any time. For this storm, the worst instance of downed power lines he's seen since 2018, when 26 power lines along Boulder Highway were knocked down by high winds. He said the utility has halted all operations in the valley except for power restoration. With workers and utility operators working 24 hours a day, he said he would be very happy if everything was back to normal by Friday, with the restoration taking place in stages.
We're currently here on Tropicana along McLeod, where the street...
Clark County will work with NV Energy to remove and reposition traffic signals and signs that extend diagonally over Tropicana and stop at the closed roadway. Telephone and cable companies and the Nevada Department of Transportation are also on the scene. For residents still affected by power outages, the Clark County Office of Emergency Management and partner agencies have provided services to those in need. The county has activated all cooling facilities to help relieve the heat. Pets can be accommodated in the Clark County Parks and Recreation Cooling Facility if they are in an appropriate enclosure. Additionally, an emergency shelter has been set up at the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority in South Hall, Room S2, with parking in the Silver Lot on Joe West Brown Drive, with transportation also available through the RDC. Transportation is available to the LVCVA from the Walmart at 3075E. Tropicana Avenue buses are currently running continuously until 2 p.m. Animal Protection Services is providing an animal shelter at the convention center for those sheltering in place to help keep people and pets together. People should bring an appropriate enclosure/crate for their animals. Residents who need medical transportation to an animal shelter can be assisted through RDC Paratransit by calling 702-228-4800 and selecting option 3. Repairs continued Thursday to address damage caused by the strong windstorm that hit Las Vegas earlier this week. Crews were seen working on downed power lines in the area of Harmon Avenue and Jones Boulevard. That was just one area in the valley where Tuesday's winds knocked down tall wooden poles that help provide residents with power. A little more than 1,200 customers were still without power as of Thursday morning, according to the NV Energy website. That's down from more than 30,000 customers who were without power Tuesday night. An NV Energy spokesperson said final repairs were expected to be completed by Friday. Clark County said the Public Works Department has cleared about 50 trees that fell onto roads. The Traffic Division also repaired 14 traffic lights that were either dead or flashing in 4 directions. 7 streetlights were also down and had to be removed. The numbers do not include areas where power lines were down, according to local officials. Public Works crews were unable to reach those areas until the power lines were cleared. The Las Vegas Convention Center is providing emergency shelters for those still without power. A Red Cross spokesman said Wednesday that about 50 people will spend the night there, and the shelters will remain open as long as needed.